We are at time for the break, and the next presenter is William Ampeh, a PhD candidate in computing statistics and information systems, and also a lead technology analyst at the Federal Reserve Board. Hold on a bit. I want to read his bio. This man is a renowned man. If you know Colin Powell, he's presented an award to this man for his excellence. He's won the Federal Reserve Board 2016 Special Achievement Awards, and this is my alma mater, George Mason, which is actually where we met. We met in class, and it's interesting, my former lecturer at the University of Ghana, when I was leaving Ghana to America, said, there's a man you got to meet. His name is William. And then I meet him in class. So this is one of those destiny working its way out. I want to read his bio or what they said about him on that George Mason website. The Federal Reserve Board awarded William Ampeh, Lead Technology Analyst, Division of Research and Statistics, and Computational Science and Informatics PhD student, the 2016 Special Achievement Award for his leadership on two important efforts related to the R statistical programming language. William spearheaded the formation of a community to promote the use of R across a diverse group of users at the board. R is open source and widely used outside the board, so creating a critical mass of users at the board will generate significant productivity gains and reduce our reliance on expensive proprietary alternatives. But realizing these gains requires creating a community support model, developing, vetting, and sharing code for common tasks, and encouraging individual sections to rewrite code. William stepped forward and has fostered a thriving community. In addition, William developed and is teaching a course in R to Howard University students. He gathered interested research assistants and teaching assistants from the economics community at the board to assist with the design and teaching of his class. This effort deepens our ties to Howard University and its students and improves the skill sets of the board's RAs and TAs who are helping to teach the course. Congratulations, William. And William, I'm so grateful that you are here and sharing your knowledge with us. In addition to R, William programs amazingly in Python as well. And so he will be building up on the work of Ikuya and Angela. But don't feel constrained, William. Just follow your heart. Hopefully you included Tableau as well. And hopefully there's an activity for the students or the participants who are here. So I'm going to share. William, you have to present because I don't think I've received your presentation. So please take it away. And the time is 2:10. And so you are stopping at 2:55. But you can go up to 3 because the next presenter will be here at 3:10.
Okay, sure. Thanks a lot, Ifya. So thank you all. Nice seeing you guys. It's really very fulfilling being part of a great effort, and I thank Ifya for the platform. I can see from, well, I didn't see much of your faces, but I did see when there was a table with users sitting around, and I think it mimics the community that we have here. We have 11 participants, and I'm sure they reflect that pool. So the way I do it is I just give a quick intro, and I'll give an overview, and I also take notes, because I think most people do one unidirectional approach where they say, I'm going to teach you this. I'm going to teach you this. Well, you know, teachers at times also have to learn, and students have to also give instructors what they expect. So I have something, and let me share what I have right on here. And if you're sorry for that, it's been it's been a headache past few weeks. I switched sections, and I can't talk about my job, but I had to be here by 6:30 today for a meeting at 11. So, and it's been like that for the past week. So sorry, that's why you haven't received anything, but I do have.
Hey, you are valuable. You are an asset to Federal
No.
Forge. That's what it says.
No. So publicly, what it says is what it is. I can't tell you what it. I'm not supposed to. So just to say this of the record. So whatever I say, it doesn't reflect the Federal Reserve's view in any way. I'm sure it's the same with Deloitte. Whatever you say, it doesn't reflect. So I'm doing this as part of economic. As part of academic outreach. Okay, so on record, that's how I'm doing. So in case this is recorded and someone from the board sees it, just of the record, it's just a contribution to the academic community, and that is allowed because Federal Reserve economists are allowed to go and do sabbatical and come back. Yeah, okay. So, and we also a partnership with Howard University, and that was the reason I came to work early this morning to get a curriculum ready, to get the community of instructors ready, so that we can be prepared for in-person class. We haven't had this in person since 2020. Okay, so for the past 2 years, it's been online. Okay, so let me share my screen, and then we will go on. So primarily the way it is the way I view data science is if you know where you want to go to, and you are good in one programming language, it's amazing how much magic you can actually you can do. If you don't have any programming background though, and you are enthusiastic and you are willing to stay long, that's the thing with programming. You stay very long. I mean, it's binary. I look at it as binary. So your boss gives you the task, or you get a contract, and they say, look, we want A, B, C, and D. Oh, by the way, am I going too fast? Am I clear? Are we having some breaks? Am I clear across?
You're fine, William. You're fine.
Okay, cool. Yeah. So
yeah, we're good. William, we're good.
Oh, good. Yeah. So just to recap what I'm doing, what I was saying. If you are given a task, or if you get a contract, there's nothing like, oh, I'm almost there. No. It's never almost there. It's binary, right? You either have it ready or you don't have it at all. There's no midway. It works or it doesn't work, and that's the beauty of computer programming. In writing and in literature, you can say, well, I'm 80% done. In other places, you can say you can give percentage to how much you've done. In coding, it's prototype, implementation, testing, and deploy. Those are the only stages. Within each stage, of course, they have different ways, Scrum and all those things, but it works or it doesn't work. Okay, so how would it work? It works if you understand what the task at hand is, and if you understand the tool. Okay, so if I know that to pull out a nail, I need a pair of pliers. To put in a nail, I need a hammer. Then you are there. So knowing what tools to use for the right job is the key. And I had a meeting with one of my analysts, and he had written a code in C. I looked at it, I'm like, oh, gee, what is this? Well, so I called him and I said, look, I can read the documentation all I want, but you just tell me what your mindset was when you wrote this. I don't want to, don't tell me about the code. Just tell me why you did it. Why you did it in C, you didn't use Python, you didn't use R, you didn't use R. And then he said this, look, 1, speed, 2, I've been given a bunch of files, big files, and each file is compressed and zipped. So you have about 36 files. and each file is almost about half a gig, you know. So 500 gig, not half a gig, 500 gig, half a terabyte. And so when you unzip all these files, that is when you expand them, it's very difficult. I mean, it doesn't fit in anywhere contiguous. You have to spread them across. So then, and then the requirement was that they want the last entry or the last, I'm trying to pick the word well, so I don't, because it's confidential data. I can only talk about it. So they want the last series or data item in each of the file, and you don't only have one unique file. So in one file, you could have William, and then you go to file 3 and you have William. So what they want is they want the latest of those Williams. Okay, so it could have William, Ifia, Abner, multiple versions of that, okay, records of that, maybe credit card record or whatever, okay. And you go to the next file, which will be the next month's record, and you have the same list of names with the transactions. And all we want is, we want out of the 36 files, if there's a William in any, we want the latest William. And you can make, you understand that. I want the last transaction that William undertook for this month. Okay, I want to see what William did. The last transaction that William, the last thing that William bought. Okay, and that can be, it looks very simple, but trust me, that can be a very daunting task. So one, you have to read all the files. If you have something like SAS, which is good at big data, you read all the files, you sort, and you reverse sort, and you pick the top or you pick the bottom. In the absence of SAS, in the absence of other tools, what do you do? Or even if you don't know SAS, what do you do? Okay, and he picked C because he was a programmer, so C is the starting point of all programs, C++. Okay, and then he got it. Okay, and once he said it, I was like, oh, okay. I understand the code. I don't need to see the code. So I went online and I just Googled, I said, give me a file that retrieves the last record. And there were a whole bunch of them. Okay, a script that retrieves the last record, a whole bunch of them. Now it's up to me to decide which one works for me. And that's exactly what these types of courses are for. Giving you the tools so that when you are faced with a task, you will be able to pick the right tools for the right task. Otherwise, you are doomed, right? Your code, you write a code and the code will take 3 weeks to run, okay? Because the data now is huge. The data is huge. So you need something that can handle big data or something that can read from the big data. So you offload to a database and then you query the database and you pull it up. Okay. So in the field of data science, we have 3 or 4 languages. We have Julia, we have Python, we have R, and then we do Mathematica is also, people don't look at it, but that's also powerhouse. We have SAS, and then we, recently someone also told me about this language that I've forgotten, but it's about 6 or so. And then the top ones, top not because of their performance, but top because of marketability, because people have made it so that I want to learn the language so that when I go to the field, my resume looks marketable. Okay, so, and if you look at that, and also because I don't want to write things from scratch, I want to be able to use tools that the community has developed. So if you think about tools that the community has developed, then you think about R, SAS, Python, Julia, and the like. Okay, so in our setting, and then we have other things to also make you visualize the data, the R, Tableau, and the other ones. Okay, and so that is how this course is going to be structured around. And of course, I'm also going to take input from you guys, and then we'll build as we go. So the first one is learning the basics. I want to know the ins and outs of the programming language, why the programming language is what it is, how do I read data in, how do I get data out, how does it store data? So in the case of the example that I gave, which of these, I mean, how do I even read it in? And how do I, when I read it in, how do I hold it in memory in the most efficient way? And that is where the data structures comes into play, okay? The structures and the formatting and things like that comes into play. So we first of all write, hey, how do you start the program? Okay, in our case, what we're going to do, since we're not going to make any assumption, we're going to show how you install Python and you install Anaconda and how you do updates to these, to Python and Anaconda. And then once you have Python and Anaconda set up, how do you read data into it, okay? And to do that, you have to know what the data types are. So that's what the variables and the data types comes in. And of course, there are various types of data types. Okay, so we look at that. We look at list. We look at data frame. We look at vector. We look at simple atomic variables. Okay, so that now you have the data in memory. How do you now manipulate the data? Okay, I have A equal to 1, B equal to 2. How do I get C equal A plus B? Something like that. That's the basic operation. And then once you operate on the data, it doesn't make sense to just stick the output on the screen. You have to format the output. Okay, so that is what the string formatting comes in. Okay, so I have a string. A string is just, instead of numbers, I have something like Accra. Okay, and how do I get the first letter of Accra? Something like that. Or how do I turn Accra? How do I make sure that Accra, which is a capital, is camel case? That's uppercase and then the lowercase. How do I make sure if it's a sentence, then the sentence has uppercase at the start and then lowercase in between. A sentence is made up of words with spaces in that. So that's what the formatting is. Okay, and a string operation. String operation is we want the first string, we want the last string, we want the third string, something like that. Okay, so we want to be able to selectively pull characters from, let's say, a word, something like that. Okay, and the conditional statements are primarily if I'm doing a ratio and the denominator is 0, then, or denominator is very small, then I don't want to divide. Otherwise, I'm going to get a division by 0, which is undefined. Okay, and then we do loops. Okay, most programming will tell you that loops is a bad thing, so you have to vectorize. But we'll see in certain cases, vectorization won't work, and the loops will be the way to go. So we look at that. We look at functions. So you've written all these nice programs. You want to share. You want to make sure that you don't do cut and paste. Okay, so I have a nice program that computes the salary of someone. I want to say, hey, when the person works for 8 hours and he has an annual rate of $20, then he's going to make maybe $50,000 or $60,000 a month. Okay, so if I feed certain inputs to the function, the function gives me an output. Okay, and I've taken a month to write this function, so I'm not going to touch it, but I'm going to make it so that when I give it the right input, it will work and give me the output. Just like making bread. You throw in your flour, you throw in your yeast, you throw in your eggs and stuff, and you get a bread out. Okay, and that same bread making machine, given the right recipe, you get something else. So that's what the function is. And the classes are extensions of functions. We look at that. So if you have a car, I don't want to keep defining the car object over and over and again. Okay, I want to just say, hey, you know what? Get me a car, and then I'm going to paint it red. Okay, so the car object is defined, and you modify it. Easy and consistent coding. And we have a dictionary. Dictionary primarily says, I've got a key and a value, and this is how I will do it with the data that the guy implemented in C. If I have a dictionary, then I have William as a key. Next time I see William's record, I overwrite it. Okay, so I keep overwriting it. And if I have my data sorted, then the last William will be the William that I'm looking for. And the advantage of that is I don't grow memory. I reuse memory. Okay, so if the first file has 30, let's say it has 3,000 lines, then I'm going to have 3,000 lines. And next time I see another William, it doesn't grow. I destroy the William that is there. Next time I see it here, I write over it. So when I'm done, whatever is there is going to be the most recent based on how the file was organized. Okay, so dictionary has a benefit. And then once you've done all this, what do? You share with the community. Okay, you make your code available. And the way to make codes available is through what they call packages. Okay, so a model or a package. A package in the case of R, you develop a nice plotting tool, somebody wants to use it, they install it, and they install it with all the functions that you've written to get that module working. Okay, so it's a collection of functions and methods, all glued and tested and made available to others so that others can contribute to it. And that's the beauty of the data science community, that there are users who don't go to beer parties on Friday night, don't go out, do anything. What they do is they sit and they hack. I mean, they just look through people's code and make it better, or create new packages for people to use. And I like that. I mean, there's a satisfaction that, hey, you know what, people are using my program, right? So instead of people having, say, well, I made a video on TikTok and I'm having 140 viewers, this is another way of getting satisfied, especially if you're a data scientist. Getting a community of people who are in need of something, using something that you spend time to develop, making it available to people, and making people making you feel that your tool is valuable, or whatever you did is very well. So that is going to be the first part. The first part is we're going to crack open the Python myth. And once we get out of this, we would be in a position where when you see a Python code, at least, it's not going to be scary. You may not be able to write it from scratch, but when you see a code, you say, hey, I understand it. This is a loop, this is a function, this is a conditional statement, this is a dictionary, this is a class, and this is how I load the package. Okay, so once we've done that, then we go into the data science tool set. Okay, so the two powerful tool sets are the NumPy, and I hear people call it NumPy. So I have a Nigerian friend who says NumPy, and people in France also calls it NumPy. Ghanaians and the heavy accent, we call it NumPy. Okay, NumPy. And even Americans also they also refer to it as NumPy. And then the pandas, we all refer to as pandas. Okay, so pandas for data frame, and NumPy for numeric computing. Okay, for numeric, just like your Fortran for engineers, NumPy contains a set of tools for numeric computation, mainly matrices. And pandas is mainly for storing things that look like Excel type data structure, like rows and columns. Okay. So you can do a row total and a column total, things like that. Okay, now once we're done with that, then we move on to another set, the advanced tutorial. And the advanced tutorial, we expand on what we have done. Okay, we expand on what we've done, and we look at generators. Okay, generator is something that in a loop you implicitly say go from I from 1 to 10. Now in a generator, you dynamically generate the loop index. Okay, so I say, hey, you know what? There's a William record, and I'm going to make that record or the columns in a role in Excel, I'm going to make you look through it. So I create an iterator or generator that generates that sequence and makes it iteratable. Okay? That means you can step through it. And then we talk about lambda functions. So we have, when I was learning Python, lambda functions was something that blew my mind. So the idea here is that you want to save space. So whatever you do to save space is the way to go, especially memory. And functions take up room. I mean, they are on the stack, and so they take up memory. And so lambda functions are lightweight functions. That's the way I look at it. They are lightweight functions. They are functions that you use within, or let's say on a line. Okay, let's say a line function. You call it once and it works and it goes. And you don't store it. Okay, it's a function that's not stored. Actual functions are functions that are stored. So they are actually stored in the stack or in memory, and then call that. Okay, and then a function can take one argument. Okay, let's say I give you a list, or I give you William and you give me William's birthday. Okay, I give you a user ID and you tell me one thing about, or one or more things about the user, but it takes one argument. And the function can also take multiple arguments. It can take your name, your hometown, your something, and then it returns a data frame of all that together, something like that. Okay, we'll look at regular expressions. Okay, regular expression is primarily if you've done Linux or Unix, regular expression is a way to define what an object looks like without actually giving it away. So I can say that a phone number contains, American phone number is 3-3-4. So 3 digits, a hyphen, 3 digits, a hyphen, and then a 4. Okay, Ghana is, let's say, 0112332 something, right? So you don't store the physical thing, but you describe it. Okay, that's what a regular expression is. And regular expression allows you to also say whether something meets a criteria or it doesn't meet a criteria. So if I give you a bunch of numbers, I can say, tell me which ones are zip codes and which ones are phone numbers. And as we said, the phone number has a structure and the zip codes have a structure. Okay, so that's what. Exceptional handling is situations where you run the code gives an error, you don't want the code to crash. You want to catch the error, and then you nicely format it. Oh, sorry. You nicely format it.
Please put yourself on mute, or else I will mute you.
Okay, cool.
I have.
Okay, sure. So yeah, exceptional handling is you take the heat and you nicely you let a code exit gracefully. So if you give a code to someone, you say, give me your date of birth, and I'll tell you the age. Well, if you don't describe the code very well, the person is going to, instead of saying 1992, they're going to say William, or they're going to accidentally say A 1992. So when they throw in something that your code doesn't expect, how do you handle that? Okay, so that's an exception. Okay, and then we look at sets. Some of these things we'll have to readjust because the set is a data type. We'll move it up. Serialization is a way where you don't want to store the thing because the data, you don't want to store data because the data is so big, so you stream it. I mean, you serialize it. You turn the input into a stream of lines. Okay, so you serialize it. You put it, instead of going down, you put them in a string form. But we'll look at that. And the partial functions, maybe yes, maybe not, based on depending on how much time we have. Coding introspect. This would be a good learning that when I have a task, how best should I code? I mean, what is a good coding style? We look at closures, decorators. We'll see what they are, okay? And then map, filter, reduce. These are ways of, you have a file and you want to just pull certain lines from the file. So that's a filter. To reduce the map reduce is a way where you actually have a big data. Let's say I'm doing the average of students in a class. I don't want to do all of them at once. So what I do is I break it out into groups, and I find the average of one group, find the average, find the average, find the average. Now I have, instead of, let's say, 36, I now have about 6 groups of averages. It's easy to handle the 6 groups of averages than to handle the individuals. So we'll look at that. How do you map and how do you reduce? And the idea here is that when we were in university, data, especially when we're taking statistics, we say anything greater than 25 was considered large data. But now it's no more the case. Large data sets are large. Some take 3 days to even read if you don't have the right tools. And at times you read, wait 3 days, you come back the 3rd day and the thing has crashed. So if you wasted 3 days and your boss wants an output and you tell the boss I was loading and it crashed, they'll take it once, twice, the 3rd time they'll get someone who can load it well. Okay, so we need all these tools as we come into contact with the modern world where data is no more small data set, but huge data. And you can't tell the person who's giving you the huge data that they should put it in the form because you're not paying for it. You can't tell Amazon, can you, if you want to pay for it, yeah, they'll give you the data in the form you want. But for the most part, you're not paying for it. It's free, so you take it as is. Okay, and that is why you need the tools for the right job, because no one is prepared to pay for things that are free. Okay, yeah. So we'll look at that, and that pulls me through to that. In fact, we do have graphics. The graphic side is where Ifya mentioned that I should reserve for Tableau. So when it comes to the graphic side, we are going to look at giving data now. You've manipulated the data. How do you showcase the data? How do you show the data to your boss? Okay, so that will be the graphic side of the equation. Now I think we are 20 minutes. I can show a little bit of the coding side if to get everyone an idea of what is to come, and then if there are any questions, then we'll move on. But I do see.
Sounds great. You have 15 more minutes. I was hoping for an activity with the participants as well. But do what you want to do, because
sure.
I want to have that flexibility.
Okay, so I'll just pull this one here, something that I've been working on. I'll showcase this briefly, and then we'll move on. Okay, so see if I can get this to show up a little well. Give me so this most likely is part of the previous. I don't want to use this. Let me and this VS Code. We'll look at
William, this. What's happening here? Because for most people who are not programmers, this is very detailed.
Oh no! Wait! I'm coming. I'll show. I'm looking for. I'm looking for what. What I want.
I'll trust you.
Yeah. I just want to show something. So just give me 1 second here. Oh, sorry. I had something here I wanted to show. Oh, there we go. So let's go this way. I think you're right, because the coding can be intimidating. So I want to show you what we code. So I'll just show you what we have as far as data. Let's see one. Okay, good. So I think this will, I mean, we will all understand this much better. Just give me 1 second. There we go. Okay, so this can, wait 1 second. I had this, but then my computer sort of right. So this is something that we worked on when I started at the board. So this is my baby here. Now, what is happening here is, let's go down here. And then let's go down here. Okay, so we had, and that's what you're also going to be faced with. You are going to be shown something like this, like a data that looks like this.
William, can you put a link to your baby in the chat?
Oh, sure. One here. Chat here. Okay, so this is called the flow funds account there. This is a big thing. This is how the US we monitor how money is being used by all the institutions, the financial, non-financial, a whole lot of other institutions, so that we can see whether we are entering into a recession or whether people are spending or whether people are taking there's a financial flight, things like that. Okay, so when I started, I was given this table. So you have this, you look at it, this table, right? You have a series, a description, data, and it's on and on and on. Now, the question that you would ask is, given this, what can you do about it? How can you add value to it? And those are the things that we want to look at. How can you add value? You can add value by making it so that you can plot. So you can read the data in and plot. You can also add value by actually creating a database out of the series itself, okay? Which is, that side is what I use. That wasn't trivial, but that's the way I use. So that when you have these things, you have to understand the meaning of them, right? So you want to make it so that when people come, they know what this is. Okay, so then what we ended up doing, what I ended up doing is to say, if somebody doesn't understand this, the series structure, then everything is out of the window. So then describe the series structure and look at the graphic side of it. And Tableau can do this, any other language can do that. But if you look at this, right, I break it down and say what the first part does, and that is the way they have it stored. So we have the series prefix, and so the FA, what does it mean? It means that it's a flow, okay, it's a transaction, it's what's coming in, okay? And then there are FA, FU, FL, and that, and the client will give you that. But you make it in such a way that you put vision into the data, okay, so that the data is not just raw data. And then when you go to the second set of digits, what does it mean? So the 2 digits here is what they call the sector, okay? So we have the financial institutions, interest rate, corporate business, okay? And then we have this part, which is the instruments, okay? So instruments are the type of things they do, okay? And then we have a placeholder which makes it fluid, so we can play around with things. And then we have this portion, this is what I want to show. So this indicates that this is a computer series. So we take input, we manipulate the input, and we dump out the output, okay? So you can be very creative looking at data. If you understand data, you can make it in such a way that the data itself tells a story, okay? So it doesn't always have to be plot. It can be the way you represent it. Okay, so when I see a 00 means it's an input, a 01 means it's a NIPA input, and a 3 means it's a seasonal, 5 is computed. So I saw this as a 5. What is the advantage of this? And then, of course, it's either a quarter, a monthly, annual, semi-annual, whatever. And the client, so I give this to the section, and they were like, oh, wow, this is really cool. So they have data that they couldn't, I mean, they have to have a hard paper, flip through and figure it out. And I turn it into more interactive, more clickable. It doesn't have to be clickable, but it's that vision side of it. Now, once you have this, then the sky is the limit. So now I can then go here. Someone can look at the table, and I don't have to sit and explain to them. They know what each line does. They know, because now they know what a 5 does, what is that. Now it's a 5. The user is going to say, what goes into it? That's the next set of things that you want to talk about. So I'm saying that how is it computed? So that guy there is being computed by these things, okay? And then what line in the table does it appear on? So these are things that the table has information, but if you don't look at it very well, then it's missing. Capturing it is where Tableau and R and the other things comes into play. Now let's see how the highlighting comes in now. So we go in here and look at the other side of the visual. Okay, and unfortunately, I don't have anything for you guys, but trust me, we'll have a lot. Okay, so now the interactive. So now you have, remember I talked about this, the sectors, the 0, 1, 0, 3. So now I have those sectors. I have the household sector, I have the banking sector. So now you can do Tableau by visualizing. Okay, and when you visualize, given this, if I take this thing out, then it's just a plot. The only thing you can tell is that the green part, okay, as you go, it grows. And proportionately, they each contribute equally. But it makes sense if, as I go along, it tells me what the values are. Okay, and that is what Tableau does. Okay, so we'll see all that. And then you can also be able to shrink. You should be able to shrink, and you could be able to expand. Okay, so Plotly does that, and other tools does that. Okay, so this comes free. Once you know the right tool to use, this is free. Okay, so yeah, so I think if I would reserve some time for questions, and then expectations. If anyone has any questions as far as what they've seen so far, we can look at that. Okay, otherwise this is what keeps me here. So with this, I can come here and close my door, and my boss knows that William is doing something because I know exactly what tools to use, and I can, within a short time, add magic to something that the section depends on. And that, I think, is what we will be teaching you. And we hope that once you get out of this course, you will be able to do this magic and it will come trivial.
This was great. I like how you started from the deep end, but you made it so much easier at the end. Yeah. And here we see the power of data visualization. And you know, what looked so complicated in the syntax now looks very accessible, you know, and approachable. So questions. Ekia, you do Python programming, so do you have any questions? Angela, you do Stata. And any other people or persons who would like to ask questions? We have about 5 more minutes for question time. You can put it in the chat and I can also read it out.
Yeah. And then, and and these are some of the things too that I do. I spend a lot of time looking at what people have done. Otherwise, you have to attend conferences like what. So attend conferences, look at people's code, give credit to people. Some people just take the code and run with it, but give credit. Communicate with the developer. Get into their head. Say, hey, why didn't you use this? You use that, you know, and you'll be amazed the reason why people use what they use.
Wow. So William, yes. How long does it take you to go from the syntax, the programming itself, to the visualization?
Yes. So it's the first time there's a learning curve. The second time you say, well, you know, I got it. And then you put things into function. So the question is, it depends. When I first started, I stayed at work till like 2 a.m. As it went down, I started becoming perfect. I started storing my tools. Okay. So that when I want to do this, I don't create from, I don't start from scratch. I have the tool there already. I have sample codes that I can either reference or incorporate. And so that the answer is it depends. At the beginning, it took a long time. Now I can just spend the weekend. And with me, I like my quiet time because at times when you are very quiet and you are doing it, ideas come because you don't want to just reuse your code like that. Because every year someone wants something cool and different. So within a week, depending on the scope, and then you can't get it right the first time. Trust me. This went through iterations. Oh, can you add this? Oh, it's cool. Can you add this? Can you make it so that I can do this? Can you make it so I can download? And now there's one thing that I ask myself. I have this. Can I get a code that gives you just this? Okay, I want the code that gives me just this. I don't want the code that will make me drag and drop. I just want that code that gives me just this view. So that when the user goes in and they select or shrink the plot, there should be download code. And that code should give you this same plot. And that's one thing that I'm looking at now. Yeah, so I'll say 1 week. 1 week, 1 month, depending on what comes in and what doesn't come in. If I'm all by myself and I just come to work and close my door because I'm on a project, then I can do magic. But if I'm looking through memos and I'm preparing other things, then 2 weeks, and then the third week would be getting the polish so that I can do my presentation. Yeah, and it's rewarding too. Once you get into it, just like mechanics. Once you get it and it works, I can stay here till 8 o'clock without taking lunch. And then you look out and it's dark. So that's why I have my windows. You see, I have my windows all open up so that I don't get dark. Because it gets dark and you don't even know it. It gets to 9 p.m. and you don't know because you have light, right? So I just pull these things out so that when it gets dark, I can see. Yeah. So that's, I hope I answered it well. Okay, yeah. Any other questions, please? Anything you want to see that will help me during the preparation, and anything you think should be covered. Well, we can do machine learning. We can do, but I think this is not a semester class. If it's a semester class, then of course we can stretch it out. So we'll take it to a point so that you can then just like bicycle riding, we get you the 3-wheeler, and then you try and take out the training wheels, and then you can ride on your own.
William, did you see the question in the chat?
Oh, sure. There are 2. Let me go there.
Which one of the tools mentioned do you see more people, especially with no coding experience, being required to use in their day-to-day jobs in the future? And this is my namesake. I don't know what the B stands for, but thank you for a great question.
Okay, so I always do this. So Python and Julia and R, which one is the best? You won't get which one is the best. You either get which one is easy to learn, which one is easy to use, which one is marketable. So which one is marketable? And I'll look at the marketable because if I want to learn something that is cool. Okay, so there's efficient. Which one do people? Yeah.
You had a typo in your search, so I wanted to make sure.
Oh yeah, in fact, I intentionally did that so that you see that Google is really cool. It goes through what they call the screening. It will screen out. Yeah. So normally our bloggers is one place that I go to. Our bloggers. And then I look out for things like a chart. You add a chart to it, and it will show you which one is our Python for data science. Okay, and you will see clearly that Python, and it's a community that makes it what it is. The community. So if Google it's employing a lot of people, a lot of data scientists with Python background. Of course, then college students would want to take a Python class. And now R is good for visualization. R competes equally nice with Tableau, but R gives you that programming side of it. Okay, so you have the programming side, the data manipulation side, and the visual. Okay, and then Python when you do machine learning. So machine learning, writing smart codes, being able to tell what is a cat from a dog type thing. Python is, because the reason there being that people in the C++ and Java have seen that most employers don't want to invest in those types of heavy duty, because once they are gone, it's difficult to replace. Python has nicely come to take over from C++ and Java, and it does exceptionally well. So Python is good. Julia is a blend between R and Python. It's high. It's getting closer to like the Java, C++. So Julia is the next language. If you ask me, Julia is the next wow language. But currently R and Python, and then of course we have those that people don't really pay attention to. We have the SAS. We do have the databases also. The cool thing with this SAS is that it's able to handle large amount of data that R and Python have to overload to a SQL server. Okay, and I'll look for the chart. In fact, I shared this with Afia at some point. The top languages, the top data science languages, and it's those three: Python, R,
time check, 1 minute.
Okay, sure. So I'm done. Now I'm just doing the Q&A. Let's see. There's one more chat. There's one more question.
So speaking of SAS, Coders Who Travel have 5 members help me launch a partnership with Coursera as an instructor. And so I wanted to share the courses. Speaking of SAS, it's really powered my career. SAS doesn't pay me to say this, but as soon as I got SAS on my resume, everything changed. And so, William, thanks for sharing. So 2-hour, actually 1.5-hour courses. If you want to learn SAS, these are our own courses. Be sure to take advantage of them. And Coursera surprised me by featuring me in their Black History campaign in February of this year. So we are heading for a break. We are time. William, thank you so much for making it. I've always enjoyed our friendship from day one, and just your wisdom and counsel and mentorship. And I really appreciate you dedicating the time to give this presentation. So let's show some love for William. Claps, put it in the chat, and let us hear that. And then I'm going to play the Coursera highlight video. It's just 1 minute. And then you can get up, stretch. You can stay here as we've been doing. I'll play a song and we'll take it from there. And the song that I'll play is No Longer Slaves to Fear. It's a great, great song. All right. So William, I'm going to share my screen now.
Okay, cool. So let me stop and then I'll pass you over to Afia.
Thank you. So we are at break. The next presentation coming on is by a member of the Dream Team from Deloitte. I'm calling them the Dream Team on the outstanding and stellar work they did. Her name is Delaney Sheets. Delaney, welcome. We are heading into a break, and from then you will be up. So this is the Coursera feature showing that the courses that are on Coursera are very good. Can you see my screen and hear? And William, there are so many claps. Ikyo Sewa, Afia is saying, woohoo. Oh, William, you've been kind to give your work email even as well and your Gmail.
Yeah, just in case.
but also coders who travel.
Exactly.
It's the
Sorry.
official one for business. And
Definitely.
Pia says, thank you so much. Joseph claps. Equia claps. Thanks, Will, by Joseph. Ibrahim also. And we appreciate you. And you can hear and see my screen?
Yes. Not the voice. Not the voice. Yes, now we can.
My name is Efia Obusifofie. I am a senior consultant with Deloitte Consulting, and I am also the founder of Coders Who Travel. My projects on Coursera focus on introducing learners to SAS. Complex subjects like math, statistics, computer science typically require an initial dedication and intensity to get over the learning curve. I personally understood how sometimes demanding work commitments prevents someone who loves learning from committing to big chunks of learning. And that's why I've chosen to impart my knowledge through the guided projects. As an immigrant from Ghana, as soon as I got SAS on my resume, doors started to open. I hope my students experience the magic that SAS brings to one's career.
Again, I couldn't have done this work without Angela Azuma Alu, Nabia Al Hassan, Equia Ahinkra, Oseiwa Ahinkra, Joseph Lawrence, Hammond, El Hayu Pupulampu. They became my support system, even as I raced to meet the Coursera contract requirements. And so these are courses that even some of the veterans can code, or the veterans can use to kickstart their programming journey in SAS.